Gina Carano has won a major victory and Hollywood is absolutely shocked to its core. And the reason just might floor you as well as me. Today we're bringing on an expert, someone who has dealt with Hollywood at the highest levels, to explain why the studios are freaking out because Gina has put out information they never wanted to see the light of day. Folks, let's get underway right now. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and happy Friday. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are always smiling through the thick and thin, and we've got Lou Wasserman's Ghost here. LW, how are you, sir?
I'm good, but I bet there's some people at Disney that are saying, thank God it's what?
TGIF, baby.
It doesn't matter the day of the week. They get themselves in trouble without a particular designation, let's put it that way.
That's right, and folks, although we're smiling, the folks at Disney, and maybe far beyond in Hollywood or not, LW Ghost reached out and let me know that based on his expertise, there is far more going on than meets the eye when it comes to the Gina Carano lawsuit and what has now been approved by the court. We're going to get into that, and Lou, you're going to be our teacher. Folks, as we dive in, consider clicking the like button, and I want to take you to this website because I think it's funny. It's called Marca.com. And Marca.com says the force was not strong enough. What Gina Carano's court win means for Disney. And then it's the subtitle.
Yeah.
It's the subtitle that This was a surprise for everyone. Yes, the super lefties and the access media, they all said, this is a bunch of nonsense. It's ludicrous. And now what we've been telling you is coming true. And Gina is winning. Lou, before we even read this, walk us through. So I'll explain. What happened is Gina has been given access to the payments and how the payments were determined to other stars within Disney.
Right.
We don't know how far that goes. It's definitely Pedro Pascal and others related to the Mandalorian. Lou, why is this such a huge deal for all of Hollywood, and what does it mean?
Well, you guys covered very well the fact that it means this case is going to go forward. It means she's not looking to settle. It means the court is sick and tired of the foot dragging on Disney's part. All of that is true. But when I heard you discussing it, I said, but wait. Look, in Hollywood, everybody negotiates their best deal, and they try and do that with some knowledge, but they don't know every detail of how every other star in a similar situation was getting paid. In fact, you might think back about in the past cases where, for example, a female star might have come forward and said, well, I'm as big a star as the guy. How come I'm not getting the same money? Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So in this case, what every other studio in town is going to be hating Disney's guts about is that this is not just give this information to Gina. This means make this information public. And what it means is that they have now established a new floor from which to negotiate, which is whatever they were paying all these other guys for a similar role. If I'm an agent and I'm negotiating on behalf of my client for a TV series with any of the studios, not just Disney, I now know where to start and then go up from. And I know where to over ask. And if they say, well, that's too much, you say, well, you gave so-and-so this much. We know from the Gina Carano case. It opens the books up in ways that are going to expose and embarrass and pressure all kinds of people at every studio. And the other guys are not going to be happy about this at all.
Now, Mr. Ghost, that's something that would have never occurred to me. The only reason that you could have possibly formulated that is because you've been in the industry. You know how it works. You've participated in negotiations. And so this was clear to you, but it would not be clear to anyone.
And there's really more to it. You see, it has been now I have no inside information here. I really don't. But it has been my contention since this whole thing began. Remember, there was a little wrinkle where they mentioned that Gina got sent some emails accidentally from inside Disney.
I do recall
information.
That.
Well, I think the fact that Disney knows that, and they probably know what was sent because they can trace it from their end, and that means they can't lie. That means that she's asking for discovery, as you do, asking for information that she already knows those answers, or quite a few of them, or her lawyers do, I should say. And so you can't pussyfoot around those realities if the other guy already has the stuff, because if you give them 1 penny less or one slight variation, they're going to say, oh, well, how come this got out? I happen to believe, and again, this is just my belief, I am not operating from any inside information, that when her agent dumped her the same day that they fired her so unceremoniously and nastily, what happened was that agent got a phone call or an email or something from somebody on top at Disney saying, so do you want any of your other clients to ever work for us again? If so, you better toe the line with this and dump them. That, of course, is amazingly a violation of not just the ethics of the job, but of the rules that agents have to sign onto with SAG, with the Screen Actors Guild, in order to be agents. They have to be representing their client. And if they're operating under pressure from a particular source of employment saying, well, if you want any ever again, that's not a good look either. And I think that's definitely going to be something that comes out. But again, I have no specific knowledge of that situation. I'm just saying this is, and besides that, think about what it means to say, well, we want information on how everybody else was paid in this situation. Remember, this is a woman who was a star. This is a woman who was hugely popular with the fans. And this is a woman who was told, she says, hey, we're going to do a spinoff series starring you. You're going to be the hottest thing since sliced bread. And then all of a sudden, they got into a fight over nonsense politics and cut it off. Well, why do you want to know how much all these other people are getting paid? You want to know because, well, that's already, you won the case. Now what's it worth? You see, that presumes that there are damages coming for having not given you that part, and that you would have been paid at least as much as these other people were.
So Lou,
that's the relevance.
We've talked about this from the side of the studios, right? Because now the studios, they're going to be much more hesitant and maybe cautious when it comes to how these salaries are doled out, because this sets precedent now that a celebrity, a star, can say, I am requesting to know exactly how I was paid and whether or not I was discriminated against. And you've done, listen, we could not make this video without you. I don't have the expertise in this area. I mean, this really is, like when we have Mark Mitchell on to talk about polling, I'm not a poller. That's a video that it only exists. That conversation only exists if he's there. Same thing with this one. Lou, if we take it from the side of SAG, though, so you were bringing up the unions, how do you think they're going to view this? Like, where are the leverage points now? Can they pull out more salary now for their stars? Can they pull out more for the workers? What's going to happen here?
Remember, unions set minimums. They set minimums. Everything above that is negotiable. Okay, big stars don't work for minimum, obviously. But they also set the working conditions. There's two parts of any guild contract: the money and what's called working conditions.
I'm glad you're going.
Or creative rights, as they call it at the Directors Guild and the Writers Guild. And if the working conditions are such that you violate the rules between agents and the guild, not anybody can just open their door and say, "Hi, I'm an agent. Come work with me." You got to get approved. You got to get accepted into the club. And you got to do that by agreeing to work some basic ethical values into how you deal with people. And goodness knows, we've seen many, many people, in particular, people involved in the whole Petrocelli, Harvey Weinstein, people being abused. And we're seeing these stories still coming out. What was this thing? Gosh, just the other day. James Toback, who's been a director for years. And suddenly there's like $2 billion worth of sexual harassment suits happening. That's a bad thing. You're not supposed to do that kind of stuff. Well, whether it's sexual, financial, political, the rules say treat people with respect and treat them fairly and treat them like you do everybody else. And a big part of Gina's suit is that she wasn't treated like everybody else, that all these other guys got to make much broader, much more intense, much bigger political statements. And we're told, well, fine, no problem. But when she made a fairly mild one and wouldn't use pronouns and all that other stuff, and when she refused, when they invited her to a struggle session, as they call it on the left, where 75 people were going to show up and tell her how wrong she was. And she said, I don't think I'll go to that. Thank you very much.
They call it a struggle session. I call that a dog pile, Lou.
Well, but it's right out of Stalin and Lenin and Mao and everybody else. They did that all the time.
Absolutely.
So, and then when they came out with this issue of whether people inside the company very high up were putting money into a GoFundMe to attack her. And when they came out with this, and suddenly there were people with angriness camped outside her home, and she was physically being threatened. You're not supposed to do that, people. And you guys were talking about all these laws, this particular law, the UNRU law that is in California, that gives employees a more explicitly stated right to make political statements, and that came out of the 50s and the blacklists. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, or should be. And surprise, it's California.
Now, I want to go to another female personality who has worked for Disney. This is Sage Steele. She's worked for ESPN, which is, of course, under Disney. And right. Sage Steele has some commentary here with Glenn Beck. We're going to play a clip of this. And I guess afterwards, Lou, my question is going to be something to the effect of, is this the beginning? Like, are there going to be now Sage Steeles and other, individuals, or James Woods, who decide, now that this has been successful, yeah, I think I'd like to have my day in court with the House of Mouse or other studios as well. Here's what Sage Steele had to say to Glenn Beck.
Disney has to turn over information about how everybody is, paid on The Mandalorian and any other Star Wars shows. And they didn't want to do that. But would you agree with me, Sage, that that's a remarkable win?
Absolutely. It's a huge win. And also, Disney's delay tactics have just been ongoing, and they lost that too a couple of months ago when they were trying to get the lawsuit thrown out altogether, and judge said, let's go, quit procrastinating. And so this is massive, because when you look at how they paid other stars on these projects, Pedro Pascal, Rosario Dawson, other people, basically this is about Disney trying to hide what they've been paying those people this whole time, while allowing them to go off on social media. And Pedro Pascal, comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, one of those, and that's fine to do on your social media. But Gina Carano gets fired. So now that
all right, so let's hold there.
Yeah, well, she's saying what we've been talking about, but of course, like I say, the rest of the business is going to be absolutely livid. But the point is, none of this is new. This was all in the original discovery requests that the court approved. It's the fact that Disney stalled and delayed and tried to avoid it that makes judges angry, because judges want to get cases moving. They have a big docket, and that's what they do. And Disney knows this. But now they've got 20 days to put up or shut up. And if they shut up, they're going to get sanctioned by the court. Absolutely.
Do you think, Lou, do you think it's because Iger's trying to live quarter to quarter, or do you think it's
absolutely. That's what he's doing. He's trying to live quarter to quarter to get through to the point where he hands off this company to somebody else and rides off into a political sunset. Remember, there's people talking about him running for governor, running for mayor, all these things. He wanted to be president. That's not going to happen. But I don't know. They just built this building that he put his name on in New York. And it turns out that the construction damaged to the point where they can't open the doors. The museum for the New York firefighters that includes all the 9/11 stuff. And they say it's got $6 million worth of damage. Well, heck, that's pocket change to Disney. They should have said, here's 12 and thank you very much for your service. But no, they don't want to admit they ever make a mistake.
And turn it into a Disney special. By the way, Lou, one thing I would say about the Sage Steele interview with Glenn Beck, what's fascinating to me is now we are starting to see those who were burned, the bridges that were burned by Disney, they're cheerleading now. They're out there. They're like, go, Gina, go, Gina, go. And they're starting to join the chorus of what we're saying, and I love it.
Well, see, and there used to be this phrase, you'll never eat lunch in this town again. If you make a big deal, you're going to be putting yourself out of the business. And in history, the people who've made the big lawsuit deals have been people who said, well, I don't care. For example, the big example that I know of is Victor Victoria. Everybody knows that wonderful movie with Julie Andrews, right? Well, Victor Victoria was a pre-World War II movie in Germany, not a musical, just a movie. And the guy that owned the rights, who sold them to the studio to make the big musical, made a deal where they said, hey, we'll give you a piece of the action instead of cash. You'll make more money. And surprise, his piece never showed up. And they said, well, we'll make a deal because you don't want to, nobody will ever buy anything from you again. He said, I got nothing else to sell. Let's go for it, and sued him. And the stuff they found, for example, among the things charged against the company, the movie was made in London, and Blake Edwards, the director, and Julie Andrews, his wife, the actress, had houses in Switzerland and in LA. So part of the budget of the movie included 20 round-trip first-class tickets to each place for them. I mean, there were all these extra things that were keeping it from being profitable to the point where he would get paid. This stuff comes out in cases where people say, I don't give a darn, let's go for it. And that's what's happening with Gina. You guys were talking about whether she wants to show back. No, she doesn't want to show. She'd like to work again, and she will with somebody else. But if she wanted a deal, she would have settled and walked away with some cash and, disappeared. But now when they keep adding insults, I mean, this deal where they cut her out of their ESPN history of female MMA stars. God, it's like, oh, we're still mad at you. We're still good. It makes a major corporation that has been a part of our nation and our culture and our ethos for 100 years look like these blue-haired morons out on the street with their picket signs. Well, that's not a good look. That's not a good look.
They're working in their PR and HR teams now. By the way, Lou, I hope, she's one of the requests, as you brought up, is that Gina be returned to employment with her role as Cara Dune. And I agree with you. That's just about impossible to do. But there is a way to thread the needle, Disney. Let her have a cameo in the Mandalorian movie. She'll only have to record for 5 minutes. I just want the camera to zoom in on her, and she says, beep, bop, boop. Give a wink.
And gets paid $20 million.
Wouldn't that be nice? Lou, this is not, okay, so this next story we have is not big enough for its own video. It's simply not of high enough interest, but at the same time, people need to know about it. And I wanted to pick your brain on it. Can you talk to us a minute? I'll read the headline. It says, Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune legal shocker. Man, they're so surprised by the legal system these days in Hollywood. CBS loses out to Sony in court battle over rights to distribute game shows. Poor CBS. Poor CBS. CBS is not
can't win for losing lately, can they? Or any of them. But you remember, here's what you need to know. Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, these are old concepts, right? Well, you know who invented Wheel of Fortune? Merv Griffin. Yeah. And he used to literally write the quizzes, the clues. And it was produced through Sony, and it still is. And CBS is the distribution arm of it. And they put it out, and there you go. It's the number one game show or live or reality show, whatever you want to call it.
Number one syndicated show on TV is Jeopardy, and number two is Wheel of Fortune. That's amazing. Well, and people overlook these.
We might ask, what's syndication? Well, syndication is the intermediary between the producer and the stations that carry it. And in this case, it's not just American. It's about India, and it's about lots of other places where Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune are done through this license. And everybody said, well, the company that produces it has the audacity to be angry or not make a deal, not own up to their deal with CBS. CBS made it. CBS pays for. No, sorry, said the court. No, sorry, CBS. You better cut a deal, and you better cut a fair deal because, oops. Yep. So CBS, between 60 Minutes and all the other stuff they're going through, and the impediment to the sale of Paramount, they didn't need this right now.
Well, if you lose distribution rights to your top two shows, right, and that would be Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, people look over them again. But if you lose that in court, hey, CBS, there's strike one. Maybe find a way to get out of this Trump thing real fast. Because you guys were talking about it. We were all of us the other night
about, well, why doesn't Paramount just sell off CBS? Well, the question is, with all this jeopardy hanging over the wheel of fortune financially, who would buy it?
Right. They're unsellable. They're unsellable because if you've got whether it's frivolous or not, if you have a $20 billion lawsuit on CBS is the one that has the lawsuit on them from the president of the United States, seemingly backed to some degree by the FCC, like, who's going to buy that one? Who's going to be like, yeah, I'll take that. I don't know what CBS is worth, maybe $2 billion, maybe, I don't know. But who wants to be like, yeah, I'll take it. It's worth 1/10 of the lawsuit it's facing from the most powerful man on earth. Yeah, let me buy it. No.
And meanwhile, the Paramount deal hangs in the balance.
Indeed.
And that's got a lot of more viable IP than anything that's on CBS.
But I'll tell you what, they're always shocked, Lou. They're always shocked. As Marca tells us, this was a surprise for everyone. Not just
again,
CBS, but Gina.
We have to look at the big picture for the industry and say that every other studio in town is going to say, what the heck is wrong with you guys? Why didn't you not do this? And why didn't you pay her to go away a long time ago? And why didn't you make nice? Don't you realize what you're exposing us to?
Right. Don't you know what you've done? Don't you know what you've done, Disney? Well, that's what they're going to be screaming. Zaslav is on the phone already, probably.
Oh, yeah. And that's the point. It's not just about Disney. It's about the entire business, and it's about the way the business deals with actors and agents. And all it means is, never mind reshoots, just the actors are going to cost a whole heck of a lot more than they did before.
There you go. Well, folks, we're saying go, Gina, go. And you can help this video go. Click the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below and let us know, were you surprised after watching and consuming our coverage? And folks, if you've not been consuming the coverage, if this is your first time here, consider becoming a subscriber. We'd love to have you. I'll tell you what else we love. We love when LW Ghost stops on by to educate you and me, because I could have never done this video without you. Thank you again, Mr. Ghost.
Oh, my pleasure. And, as I always jokingly quote Tony Quinn in Lawrence of Arabia, I am a river to my people.
We are happy to set sail with you, sir. All right, folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Okay, these colors just seem to conflict with your natural tone.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Obviously, we're getting Jose ready to throw his name in the hat to be the next CEO of Disney.
That's ridiculous. He's not qualified for that kind of role.
Well, of course he is. He's a wonderful candidate for a corporate puppet.
What on earth is happening?
He's literally a foreign agent by all accounts. You think honoring boundaries is a thing? No! This is Disney! He's got diversity points, green skin, and a wig. And most importantly, he likes to destroy things and blow them up, whether they're from the past or from now. He shows no discrimination.
Okay, you know what? I really can't argue with any of that. So,
right?
You do have fun. I'm gonna go read thatparkplace.com and watch WDW.
Okay,
Pro.
bye. Okay, Jose, say magical experiences.
I already hate this.